The full moon didn't end when the night passed. For most people, it felt intense, emotional, maybe even important. And now suddenly everything feels quiet, slower, almost normal again. And this is the part where most people make a mistake. They think the energy is over. They think nothing really happened. But the truth is, the loud part was never the real change. The silence after the full moon is where things actually begin to move. Right now, you are in what I call the quiet phase. And this phase is very strange because nothing looks dramatic on the outside, but on the inside and behind the scenes, things are being rearranged in ways you don't fully see yet. You might notice that you feel calmer, or maybe a little disconnected, or maybe you just feel like something is different, but you can't explain what exactly changed. That feeling is not random. That is the after effect of the energy shift settling into your life. After a full moon, especially the pink full moon, energy does not push forward aggressively. It pulls things into alignment quietly. It removes noise. It removes confusion. It removes emotional exaggeration. And when all that noise disappears, what remains is the truth of your situation, your relationships, your direction, and your decisions. This is why this phase feels quiet but very real at the same time. You may start noticing small changes first, not big dramatic events, not sudden life explosions, but small shifts that feel very precise. Certain people may stop contacting you as much. Some conversations may feel shorter. Some situations that used to feel very important suddenly don't feel that important anymore. At the same time, something else may slowly start gaining your attention. A new idea, a new plan, a new direction, or a person who suddenly becomes more present in your life without you forcing anything. This is how this phase works. It doesn't push things loudly. It rearranges things naturally. One of the biggest things that happens in this silence phase is that your baseline becomes visible. Your baseline is who you are when nothing exciting is happening, when there is no pressure, no urgency, no emotional high, no crisis to solve. Just your normal thoughts, your normal habits, your normal decisions. Most people think their life is defined by big moments, big decisions, big opportunities, but life is actually built on your baseline. What you do on normal days decides your future more than what you do on intense days. So right now, in this quiet phase, you are seeing your real patterns. What you think about when you wake up, what you do when you are bored, who you talk to when nothing is happening, what you focus on when there is no pressure. This version of you is either building your future slowly or repeating your past slowly. And this full moon silence phase shows you that very clearly if you pay attention. Another thing that happens during this phase is emotional detachment. Something that felt very intense just a few days ago suddenly feels neutral. Not bad, not good, just neutral. And this confuses a lot of people. They think they lost interest. They think something is wrong. They think they made a mistake. But what actually happened is that the emotional intensity was removed so you could see the situation clearly, without emotional distortion. Intensity can make anything feel important. But when intensity disappears and something still feels important, that means it is real. And when intensity disappears and something suddenly feels empty, that means it was never that important. It was just emotional energy. This is why this phase is very powerful for clarity. You don't need to force decisions right now. You don't need to chase anything right now. You just need to observe what feels natural and what feels forced. What stays in your life without effort is very important. What disappears without effort is also very important. Life is basically showing you what belongs and what doesn't belong, but in a very quiet way. There is also another important shift that happens in this phase. Many people suddenly realize a truth they have been avoiding for a long time. Not a dramatic truth, not something shocking, but a quiet truth. Maybe about a relationship, maybe about a job, maybe about a habit, maybe about themselves. It's that realization where you look at a situation and you realize you already knew the answer for a long time, but you didn't want to accept it. This phase brings acceptance more than realization. You don't suddenly learn something new. You accept something you already knew. And once you accept a truth, your direction automatically changes. You don't need motivation. You don't need pressure. You don't need signs. You just start moving differently because now you see clearly. Clarity is very different from motivation. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Clarity is calm and permanent.
If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe for daily cosmic insights, astrology updates, and spiritual guidance, because the universe always has a message for you.
And this silence phase after the full moon is more about clarity than motivation. You may also notice that some problems that felt very big recently are slowly losing their intensity. They are not growing anymore. They are not getting worse. They are slowly losing energy. This is because the peak has already passed. Whatever reached its highest emotional or stressful point during the full moon has already reached its maximum. From here, things either stabilize or slowly fade away. This is why you may suddenly feel like something that was stressing you a lot is not affecting you the same way anymore. This phase is also about energy leaks. Energy leaks are things that drain your time, your attention, your emotions, and your mental peace. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a habit, sometimes it's overthinking, sometimes it's trying to control everything. Sometimes it's staying in situations longer than you should. During this silence phase, many people quietly stop tolerating what drains them, not with a big fight, not with a dramatic announcement, but simply by not giving the same energy anymore. And this is a very powerful shift because your life changes the moment you stop giving energy to what drains you. The silence phase is not empty. It is selective. It keeps what is stable and removes what is unstable. It keeps what is real and removes what is based only on emotion. It keeps what grows naturally and removes what needs constant effort just to survive. So if something is leaving your life right now, don't immediately assume it is bad. And if something is staying in your life very easily, don't ignore it. The easiest things are often the right things, but people ignore them because they are not dramatic. There is also a very interesting feeling many people experience during this phase. It feels like you are not chasing anything anymore, but things are still moving. You are not forcing conversations, but people still talk to you. You are not forcing opportunities, but something still opens. You are not forcing direction, but something still becomes clearer. This is what alignment feels like. Alignment does not feel like excitement all the time. It feels like things move without you pushing them too hard. Earlier phases of life often feel loud. Signs, pressure, emotional moments, sudden changes, confusion, excitement, stress, all mixed together. But this phase feels quiet, because now you already know enough. Earlier, you were being shown things. Now you are expected to decide what to do with what you already know. And this is why silence feels heavy for some people, because silence removes excuses. When everything is loud, you can say you are confused, you can say you are waiting, you can say you are unsure. But when everything becomes quiet and clear, then the only thing left is your decision. So the silence after the pink full moon is not a pause. It is a transition. It is the moment where life stops pushing you and starts watching what you will choose on your own. It is the moment where emotional intensity is removed, so truth becomes visible. It is the moment where the wrong things slowly lose their place and the right things slowly gain stability. It is the moment where your baseline habits start shaping your future more than your emotional moments. So if you feel like nothing is happening right now, look again. Notice who is still in your life naturally. Notice what you still care about even without emotional excitement. Notice what feels peaceful instead of exciting. Notice what problems are slowly losing their importance. Notice what truth keeps coming back into your mind again and again. That is where your life is changing. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly and permanently. This phase is not about forcing change. It is about recognizing change that already started. It is about trusting what stays, releasing what fades, and moving forward with clarity instead of emotion. And over the next few weeks, many of the things that feel small and quiet right now will start showing real results in your life. But by then, you will realize the change didn't start when things moved. The change started in this quiet phase, when everything became silent and you finally saw things clearly. Now, the reason this silence phase is so powerful is because silence shows truth faster than noise ever can. When life is loud, emotional, busy, and intense, you are always reacting. You are responding to situations, responding to people, responding to problems, responding to opportunities. You are constantly in reaction mode. But in this quiet phase, after the pink full moon, reaction mode slows down and observation mode begins. And observation mode is where real-life changes begin. You start noticing patterns. You start noticing who really supports you and who only appears when things are exciting. You start noticing which goals actually matter to you and which ones you were chasing just because everyone else was chasing them. You start noticing which habits are helping you grow and which habits are keeping you stuck in the same place. Silence is like a mirror. It doesn't tell you what to do, but it shows you exactly what is happening. During this phase, many people also feel a strange kind of tiredness. Not physical tiredness, but mental and emotional tiredness. It feels like you don't want drama anymore. You don't want to explain yourself too much anymore. You don't want to chase people anymore. You don't want to argue about things that don't matter anymore. You don't want to prove yourself to people who already misunderstood you. This feeling is not weakness. This is emotional maturity. This is the moment where peace becomes more important than attention, and stability becomes more important than excitement. You may also notice that you are thinking more about long-term things rather than short-term excitement. You may start thinking about your career direction, your health, your daily routine, your financial stability, your real friends, your family, and the kind of life you actually want 5 years from now. This is another effect of the silence phase. When emotional noise disappears, long-term thinking becomes clearer. Another big shift that happens after the full moon silence phase is that you stop trying to control everything. Earlier, you might have tried to control outcomes, control people's opinions, control timing, control situations, control conversations. But now you slowly start understanding that not everything needs to be controlled. Some things just need to be allowed. There is a big difference between forcing something to happen and allowing something to happen. Forcing creates stress. Allowing creates flow. And this is where many people start experiencing something very interesting. The moment they stop forcing certain things, those things either start moving naturally or they disappear completely. And both outcomes are actually good. If something starts moving naturally without force, it means it belongs in your life. If something disappears when you stop forcing it, it means it was only surviving because of your effort, not because it was meant to stay. This phase is also about self-respect. Not the loud self-respect where you announce things and prove things and show people your value. This is quiet self-respect. Quiet self-respect is when you simply stop participating in things that make you feel small, drained, or disrespected. You don't fight. You don't argue. You don't explain too much. You just slowly remove your energy. And when you remove your energy from the wrong places, you suddenly have more energy for the right places. Many people also notice that their circle becomes smaller during phases like this. Fewer conversations, fewer unnecessary meetings, fewer meaningless interactions. And at first this can feel lonely, but later it starts feeling peaceful because you realize you don't need many people, many opinions, many distractions. You only need the right environment, the right people, and the right direction. Silence helps you understand that very clearly. Another important thing about this phase is decision-making. You don't need to make sudden big decisions right now, but you should start noticing which decisions are becoming obvious. Not exciting, not scary, just obvious. The best decisions in life often feel calm, not dramatic. If a decision feels very emotional, very rushed, very pressured, it is usually not the right time. But if a decision feels calm and clear, even if it is difficult, it is usually the right direction. The silence after the pink full moon is basically a testing phase. Life is not pushing you right now. Life is watching you, watching what you choose when nobody is forcing you, watching what you focus on when there is no pressure, watching who you talk to when you are free, watching what habits you follow when nobody is checking, watching what direction you move when nobody is guiding you. This is the phase where your real character decides your next chapter. So don't underestimate this quiet time. Loud moments change your emotions. Quiet moments change your life. Loud moments create memories. Quiet moments create direction. Loud moments push you. Quiet moments define you. And right now, you are not in a loud moment. You are in a defining moment. And the way you think, act, and choose during this calm phase will decide what the next phase of your life looks like. As this silence phase continues over the next few weeks, something very clear will start happening. You will start seeing results of small changes. Not big dramatic life changes, but small results that confirm you are moving in a different direction. Maybe a new opportunity appears. Maybe a new idea becomes serious. Many of the most important things in life feel calm, stable, and simple. Real friendships feel calm. Good routines feel calm. Healthy habits feel calm. Clear direction feels calm. Peace feels calm. But people often ignore calm things because they are not exciting. This phase teaches you to respect calm things. You may also start noticing that you don't react to things the same way anymore. Things that used to upset you don't upset you as much. Things that used to impress you don't impress you as much. Things that used to scare you don't scare you as much. This is emotional balance. This is what happens when you stop depending on external situations to control your internal state. You start becoming more stable, and stability is more powerful than motivation. There is also a moment in this phase where you realize you are not the same person you were a few months ago. Your priorities changed. Your tolerance changed. Your thinking changed. Your reactions changed. The things you want changed. And the things you don't want also changed. Growth is not always visible day by day, but suddenly you look back and realize you don't think the same way anymore. That realization often happens during quiet phases like this. Another important message of this phase is about patience. Not waiting without doing anything, but patient movement. Slow, consistent, calm movement. Many people want fast results, fast success, fast clarity, fast change. But real life usually changes slowly, and then suddenly. First comes confusion, then comes intensity, then comes silence, then comes clarity, then comes slow movement, and then suddenly everything looks different. You are currently between silence and clarity. And after clarity comes movement. So if you feel like life is slow right now, don't assume life is stuck. Slow does not mean stuck. Quiet does not mean nothing is happening. Calm does not mean no progress. Many times the biggest progress happens when life looks the most normal from the outside. Roots grow underground before the tree grows above the ground. And right now, many things in your life are growing like roots, silently, invisibly, but very strongly. Over the next few weeks, pay attention to three things. What stays in your life without effort, what keeps returning to your mind again and again, and what slowly stops making sense to you. These three things will tell you everything about your next chapter. What stays is part of your future. What keeps returning to your mind is your direction. What stops making sense is something you are outgrowing. The silence after the pink full moon is not the end of something. It is the sorting phase of your life. Life is sorting people, priorities, habits, goals, and directions. Some things are being removed, some things are being stabilized, some things are being prepared, and you don't need to control this entire process. You only need to pay attention and make honest decisions when clarity appears. So don't be afraid of this quiet phase. Don't rush to fill the silence with noise, distractions, or unnecessary decision. Sit in the silence for a while. Observe your life, observe your thoughts, observe your habits, observe your relationships. Because this quiet phase is not empty. It is full of answers, but only for people who are calm enough to notice them. And by the time the next big phase of your life begins, you will realize something very interesting. Nothing changed suddenly. Everything changed slowly, quietly, and naturally during this silence phase. And the people who respected the silence, observed their life and made calm decisions will be the ones who move forward with the most clarity, the most stability, and the least regret. There is something very important about this silence phase that most people don't understand until much later. Silence is not just the absence of noise. Silence is the moment where life stops negotiating with you. Earlier, life gives signs, pressure, repeated situations, emotional moments, lessons, and sometimes even chaos just to get your attention. But after a certain point, the noise stops. Not because nothing is happening, but because you already know what you need to know. And when you already know, life stops explaining and starts watching what you do next. This is why this phase can feel strange. You are not getting big signs anymore. You are not getting emotional pushes anymore. You are not getting obvious directions anymore. Instead, you are getting calm days, normal routines, quiet thoughts, and small decisions. And those small decisions are actually more important than the big, dramatic moments. Because big moments show you the truth, but small daily decisions decide whether you follow that truth or ignore it again. During this silence phase, many people feel like they are in between two chapters of their life. The old chapter is not fully there anymore, but the new chapter has not fully started yet. This in-between phase feels slow, sometimes confusing, sometimes peaceful, sometimes boring, and sometimes very deep. But this in-between phase is where identity changes. You are not becoming someone new overnight. You are slowly stopping being the person you used to be. You may notice that some things that used to define you are not as important anymore. Maybe you used to care a lot about people's opinions, and now you care less. Maybe you used to chase certain goals, and now you are questioning why you wanted them in the first place. Maybe you used to react quickly, and now you stay quiet and observe more. Maybe you used to try to fix everything, and now you only fix what is actually your responsibility. These are not small changes. These are identity changes. And identity changes always happen quietly, not loudly. Another big shift that happens in this phase is understanding control. Earlier, you may have tried to control outcomes, control timing, control how people see you, control how fast things move. But during this silence phase, many people realize something very important. You can control your actions, your habits, your words, and your decisions, but you cannot control timing, outcomes, and other people's behavior. And the moment you truly understand this, your stress reduces a lot because you stop fighting things you cannot control and start focusing on things you actually can control. This phase is also about responsibility. Not responsibility for everything, but responsibility for your direction. At some point in life, you cannot blame timing, luck, other people, your past, or your situation for everything. At some point, the question becomes very simple. Are your daily actions taking you towards the life you want or away from it? And silence is where this question becomes very clear, because there are no distractions left to hide behind. You may also start realizing that not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every person is meant to stay. Not every path is meant to be followed, and not every door needs to be opened. Earlier, you might have tried to say yes to everything because you were afraid to miss opportunities. But now you start understanding that saying no to the wrong things is just as important as saying yes to the right things. Direction is not only decided by what you choose, it is also decided by what you refuse. Another interesting thing about this silence phase is that your patience is tested. Not patience where you do nothing, but patience where you continue doing the right things even when you don't see immediate results. This is one of the hardest parts of growth. Anyone can work hard when results are visible, but very few people can stay consistent when results are invisible. And this phase is exactly that. Invisible progress phase. You are building habits, discipline, clarity, and direction, but the visible results are still forming. Think of this phase like planting seeds. When you plant seeds, you don't see anything for some time. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but under the soil, roots are growing, structure is forming, and life is building. And once the roots are strong enough, the plant suddenly appears above the ground. People who see it later think the growth was sudden, but the real growth happened when nothing was visible. That is exactly what this silence phase is like in your life right now. So if you feel like life is quiet, slow, or normal right now, don't underestimate this period. This is the phase where habits are formed, decisions are made, boundaries are set, priorities are chosen, and direction is decided. This is not the phase where life shows you everything. This is the phase where you show life who you are becoming. And the most important thing to remember during this silence after the pink full moon energy shift is this. You don't need to chase everything. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to control everything. You don't need to understand everything immediately. You only need to do a few simple things consistently. Pay attention to your life. Be honest with yourself. Stop giving energy to what drains you. Start giving energy to what grows you. Make calm decisions, not emotional decisions. And move slowly, but consistently in the direction that feels clear, not in the direction that only feels exciting. Because this silence phase is not empty. It is preparation. It is alignment. It is clarity. It is emotional balance. It is identity change. It is direction correction. And when the next active phase of your life begins, you will not be the same person who entered this silence. You will be calmer, clearer, stronger, and more certain about what you want and what you no longer want in your life. And that is the real effect of this pink full moon silence phase. Not loud change, but quiet transformation that changes everything slowly and permanently.